Thank you. I just want to make an intervention that I hope will enrich the scope of the discussion. Yes, there is unemployment. Yes, there is a global concern about unemployment. And every country in the world that you look to today, you will see youth unemployment. Every country, without exception. But perhaps before we quickly go forward, using yesterday's models, we must ask ourselves what the challenges of today are. I think until we identify that the entire global economy has changed, it has altered radically, and therefore the traditional methods for creating employment will not go that far. That for me is the message that is latent in Mr. Adeola's presentation. The phone for me is just a symbolism of the change that has come upon the entire world. And therefore, for me, it's to articulate for ourselves as a people, where does the Nigerian economy aspire to be in the next 20, 30 years? I'm not sure that we have a consensus about what the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian nation desires to be like. When we have achieved that, it will seem to me then that we must infuse the human capital development to fit the objective so that we can create jobs that our economic design and our economic models will take up. And the town and the gown, as it were, will begin to speak the same language. At the moment, I think we're running in some circles that do not necessarily progress. They're producing some results, without doubt. But perhaps the question to ask is, how sustainable are the methods we have employed? So, I make this as prefatory to the questions I wish to ask. What is the definition of unemployment today? Mr. Adeola has, and it's important to go back to that the models that produced me was go to school and you will get a job. But unfortunately, I think it was his own generation that benefited last. Because by the time I came out of school, there was no work. So I was unemployed for like 8 months, but I still squeezed myself into a law firm. So that's one. Now, when, and if we go back, why do people want jobs? They want to earn a dignified living. It's important to make that point, because there is undignified living as well. That is not necessarily criminal, but it is undignifying. But at the end of the day, it's a little comforting that at least it puts food on the table, because if you have been hungry before, you will also understand the indignity of hunger. And I have been. But the point I wish to make, therefore, is I see people who have a particular skill. They own, for example, a fleet of taxis that brings in a fixed income every day, and there's still money. You know, yes, this country is a very horrible country, and you know, since I left school, I don't have a job, I'm running taxis, and it's providing. But in some other parts of the world, a taxi driver is actually a middle-class member of that society, because it is the income from taxis that sustains his family. So we really need to define what that job component is, because some of the studies we've done, I see people who make, maybe it's not the work they want to do, but they can't be categorized as unemployed. Because I hear that tying head tie and putting makeup on Saturday in Lagos, all rolled together, just tying and the makeup costs about 5,000. And if you do about 10 a day, that's 50,000. And if you do that from Friday over a weekend. So we really must retail. And the Nigerian nation is also moving towards an increasing demand for services. So the orthodox jobs that we are looking at are perhaps not fully representative of the way that our economy is heading. So all of what has happened here, traditionally this used to be government business before. It's no longer government business. And if you go and look into Governor Amechi's recurrent expenditure today, some people have made money to make this hall ready. And that's employment. And we must not discount that from what this economy is demanding and what it is giving. But it doesn't take away the normal ways, production, employment from transportation, construction. Last year alone, we employed about 92,000 people by road construction alone. Housing is producing what it can produce. But the final point I wish to make, sports is also creating employment, whether you like it or you don't like it. And we are not, tallying those numbers. As poor as our league is, some players live on the income. And it can get better. They're professionals. And it can employ more. So some of the traditional areas that we are looking at, perhaps we should have another look. Where do we want to go? It is only when we design where we want to go that we can then define our roadmap to that place. The last point I wish to make is that, look, these are economic issues. And therefore, the fundamental principles of basic economics is demand and supply. I'm not an economist, but I remember that from school. Now, in a world where the population has grown quicker in the last 50 years than it has ever grown in the history of mankind, something is wrong. So how sustainable is a world that continues to desire to bring more people in and saying that, well, the system is not employing everybody? So we, as a race, humanity, we must slow down growth. Because we are hearing that even the environment will be the new economy where some people who think ahead of others will make money. Because land resources are diminishing, water sources are diminishing. The new wars that we will see, that will be fought, will be wars that will be fought in order to create local jobs at home. And so on and so forth. So the last point, therefore, as I said, was managing global population growth as a measure of stemming unemployment and so on and so forth. Thank you.